Hi, this is Marley Hughes, and I'm CEO of Magnolia Hill Partners. Doing life and business together. It's kind of what it's all about for me. It's what it's all about for us here at Magnolia Hill Partners. It sounds kind of cheeky, but we love what we do. We love who we do it with. We pick who we do it with. We love making an impact and making money and having fun and doing it with the people that we love and we trust. And that's the real definition of partnership. It's something that I learned early and was blessed to learn early in my career. The origin story of Magnolia Hill Partners starts where John Shain and I first met at Franklin Square Capital Partners. When I was directly out of university, John was an original co-founder at FS, and I was one of the first employees that he directly hired. And I had the incredible opportunity to work with John and with the executive team and the founding team from a very, very early stage of that company when we were nothing. Today, that company is $100 billion plus. But we learned so many things, and I learned so many things at that place in my life and over those years building FS Investments. But I had the blessing and the opportunity to work with people like John, who's been a lifetime business partner. I consider him part of my family. I think he considers me part of his family. But we do life and business together, and that's what we do at Magnolia Hill Partners. I was really struck by a comment that our friend Ricky Kaplan said as we were sitting at a table at this family office conference. We're an investor in his professional men's and women's soccer team called Sporting Jacks. And one of my colleagues, Blair, mentioned to Ricky and mentioned that we're obviously an investor in Jacks, and he stopped her in her tracks and he said, No. You guys are not just my investor. You guys are my partner. I think that's really emblematic of what we strive to be. And it was really humbling to hear Ricky say that. He doesn't just see us as a check. He truly sees us as a partner. I mean, we spent a lot of time up in Jacksonville helping them to program the Jacksonville real estate and meeting new partners, both on the real estate side and the financial side. And so that's what we strive to be. We're not just investors. We're not just another family office. We're partners. And I love that. I think that's amazing. As I look at 2025, I'm just really, really excited about the opportunities that lay before us. We have just cultivated some amazing relationships over the couple of years. We've really consolidated, refined, and focused our areas within our investment platform. Our aperture used to be as wide as, I used to joke, everything from copper mines in Utah to software companies to vineyards in California and Italy. But we've really refined and doubled down on what we're really good at and what we know really well. Data centers, professional sports. We've had an amazing hire on our advisory side this year with our partner Bill Herman. And so data centers and sports are really a core focus for us in 2025. And truthfully, we've got a blank canvas. We can do and invest in and spend our time on anything that we want. But time and time again, we look at our relationships first and foremost. We look at our investment criteria. We look at where the blank space is within the markets and where we really feel like there's a level to where we can have a very unique lens and strategic structure and direction within different thematic sectors of the investment universe. And time again, data centers and professional sports are the two areas that we just uncover that our strengths, our ability to procure opportunities, our relationships, our ability to be strategic partners, not just economic partners, but strategic partners. These are the places that we want to continue to focus, that we know we can be extremely successful. And we're really humbled that other families and other partners want to join us in that. And so we've gone from a place where it's been just us to now bringing in other families alongside of us. And again, doing life together and business together with people that we love and trust. That's what it's all about. And we're just so excited for 2025. I think, we'll be sharing a lot more relative to what we're doing on the data center side and the sports side. But talk about two thematic areas that just have an opportunity for impact. The digital world itself is evolving as we know it right now. we are exponentially creating and digesting more data than we ever have. The infrastructure that propels all of that is digital infrastructure. It is data centers. And we have an amazing team that has been in this sector literally since its birth, since the late 1980s and early 1990s. Talk about perspective and ability to think through different iterations of the cycle. Talk about relationships. Talk about how we look at opportunities. We just feel like we have such a competitive edge there, and we continue to think just thematically. This is one of the strongest conviction investment areas that we could look at. And then on the professional sports side, the intersection of real estate and professional sports and some of these newer leagues or even the more mature leagues, and the opportunity at that intersection, both here in the US and in Europe, is just an interesting area that we have leaned into over the last 2 years. And we're finding so much opportunity and so many good people and so many amazing projects. And nobody out there is kind of looking at it the way that we are. And I don't think that's because we're any smarter or any better than anybody else. I just think it's a derivative of how we look at the world. OpCo, PropCo, the relationships, the flexibility of our capital, the flexibility of our partnerships and structure. So I'm just really excited for 2025. And, at the end of the day, we are just fortunate to be in the position that we're in, working with the people that we have the ability to work with. And we're really eager to meet other families and institutions and other partners to do life and business with. As I reflect on this time of year, it's just so energizing and refreshing to reconnect with people and see what's going on in their world, both the good and the bad. We all go through good and bad every year. I think for anyone that knows me personally, this has been both an incredible year and an incredibly challenging year, both on the professional and the personal side. But we keep forging ahead. And, what it's all about, and we always say this here at Magnolia Hill, is it's about our relationships, and it's about the people that we love and trust and do business and life with. And that's really the truth. I look back at some of our new partners, like, people that we hold really, really dearly now. For example, Bobby Hannabury and John Alway, someone and a team that we've built a relationship with over the last 2 years that was really a social relationship to begin with, and then started trading professional notes on things of all variety, but then centered on data centers of all things. And we started to create a really good friendship and a great relationship. And it was about mutual understanding of what we were trying to do in life, both personally and professionally, and trying to give and pour into one another to be helpful to one another. And ultimately, we ended up being business partners. And Bobby and John are just incredible examples of great people, both on the personal side and the professional side. Bobby is always willing to roll up his sleeves and help us and introduce us to people. And, we trade notes about our personal lives, the good and the bad. And that's what business is about. And that's why we got into doing this. That's why we're doing this day in and day out, why we're hiring some of the best people. It's about the relationships. And we are so blessed and honored to have been really successful over the last couple of years. And we love sharing that with other people. And we can do that by hiring great people and helping, their families prosper and succeed and overcome challenges. But we can do that by doing business with other people that we love and trust. And so again, I was reflecting, how happenstance life can be. I was on a flight that I was randomly invited to down to the Cayman Islands a year or two ago. And the gentleman whose plane we were on was from Jacksonville. And ultimately his plane ended up being in maintenance. And so we ended up taking a plane of Jackie Siegel's here in Orlando. If you guys know Jackie and David Siegel, we ended up taking their plane down to the Cayman Islands. But it was all through this new connection that I was introduced to, Ricky Kaplan. And we went down to the Cayman Islands and we had an amazing time at this family office event in the Cayman Islands with a whole host of people. But we got to build our relationship on that plane, that 2-hour plane ride. And, we had no intentions of doing business together. We just learned about each other. We learned about each other's faith. We learned about each other's family. We spent a lot of time breaking bread. And ultimately we found out when we did trade a couple notes about professions, that we were both pursuing investments in professional soccer here in the US. And so we traded notes on that. We learned about what he was doing in Jacksonville. And long story short, we became really good friends with Ricky Kaplan and Tim Tebow and Tommy Martin and their entire team. And we started to really understand them as people and operators and investors, and build our relationship with them. And then ultimately we decided, hey, let's do business and life together. Let's invest in Jacksonville. Let's do this together. Let's raise up a community in Jacksonville. And then we find out that the site that they're pursuing is the same site that I pursued a number of years ago in Jacksonville. And so I just love reflecting on the year. And I think we can all do better. I can do a lot better reflecting more times throughout the year on just how special life can be, how humbling life can be, how happenstance life can be. But what it's all about is the relationships. And for anyone that meets us here at Magnolia, like, we really truly mean that. Whether you're a new relationship or an existing relationship, we are not here to better ourselves. We are here to honestly pour into others and to try to help others be successful. And if we're successful in the midst of doing that, then that's great. But I just love meeting new people, hearing their stories, and trying to understand where I can connect the dots. Last week, we were up in New York City for one of my favorite, family office connectors, Amir. He was hosting a beautiful sports-related event. We invited a lot of other families and friends up to this event. Some of them were up on the panel with Amir talking about investments in sports and the sports world. But we had the opportunity to host a happy hour and a dinner. And I had a bunch of meetings outside of the conference. And some of those were new meetings with people that I was just blown away that I was introduced to. And sometimes I just feel so lucky to be in the rooms and across the table from some of the people that I'm meeting. And what was funny is, I spent a lot of time up in Philadelphia and New York and DC, really during the early days of my career at FS. And it was such a special time. But I could tell that the way business was done generally in New York and some of those places was just a little bit different than how I had been brought up in Florida, and kind of the Southern empathy and things that we talk about. And the way that business was done just seemed more cutthroat. And I respect that. And I think it's wonderful in some ways. But I really, after creating Magnolia and doing business the way that we want to do it and with the people that we want to do it with, I've really tried to be authentic to myself. I think in those early years, you try to calibrate and morph yourself into what others want you to be or how you perceive others want you to be. But we've had the opportunity to be authentic through our success, and I think that's been really humbling. But again, back to the meetings in New York, I was in front of some amazing people with amazing pedigree and education and networks. And I just wanted to learn about them. I just wanted to understand about their family dynamics and their personal, professional dynamics, and what challenges were they experiencing? Where could I connect the dots for them? Where could I be helpful to them? And some of these were people I met for the very first time in person. And two of the individuals happened to both be amazing powerhouse female executives at different firms. They both sat across from me in independently, completely different meetings, not at the same time, looked at me and said, "Marley, we haven't been asked questions like these in such an authentic way where you care. You seem like you care about what our goals are and what we want to achieve." And honestly, that was really humbling and refreshing and a little bit sad. But I wasn't there to pitch something that we were doing or something that we were looking at or trying to raise co-investment capital. I was there to learn about them and how we can help. And that's really what we do here at Magnolia. We want to connect with other family offices and learn about what they're doing. We want to be educated. We want to be smarter about what we're doing. And if in the meantime we can help connect the dots and allow them to be successful on whatever their challenges are and overcoming those challenges, I think that is such a beautiful thing. And that's really why we do what we do here at Magnolia. Of course, we have things that we selfishly want to achieve and investments that we're looking at and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think it's really important to just reflect that we're only here for so much time. And if we can be a blessing onto others and help them achieve their personal or professional goals, be an ear to listen to, or just be helpful in any way, we ultimately, whatever our definition of success is, will be successful.